Alright guys, in this chapter we're going to go and start building our leg IK system. What we're going to create is something that it's called a reverse leg IK setup. It allows you to do a lot of different things and give you a lot of functionality, all while just controlling one single control handle for our whole leg setup. And right here I have an example of what we're going to build to give you a preview of what's to come. So the first thing I'm going to show off is all the basic stuff we know what a leg IK can do. You know, the basic walk action by dragging it. But we also have a new added functionality that I'll show us how to make. It may seem pretty, well, that's obvious. But notice that when I rotate my leg, my whole leg chain is rotating with it. Watch the direction of my knee. It's even rotating all the way up to the hip. So that gives us the illusion that the whole leg is actually rotating, not just the ankle. You don't want to just rotate your ankle joint because technically ankles can't rotate. They rotate from the knee and from the hip. So that's a added function to this setup here. I also have a bunch of new attributes over here in my channel box that I've created just for my leg control. If we look at the knee twist, I'm going to select it over here with my cursor, and I'm going to drag with my middle mouse button and the open space here, and notice how I can twist my knee, and the channel box, has a bunch of different numbers to it. So at -66, my knee is rotated kind of outwards here, and if I typed in just regular 66, we can see that it goes inward, and you can use your middle mouse button slide function here to slide between those values. That's how we're going to be animating these values over here in our channel box. I also have a peel heel function. So when you're walking and your foot's planted in the back here and you're about to lift your back foot up and bring it forward, your heel tends to kind of raise up while your toes are firmly planted on the ground there. See how we have this nice peeling of the heel? It peels up off the ground, putting all of our weight on the front of our foot there. We also have a twist toe action. So you can see it right here. It's almost like you're putting out a cigarette on the ground. It pivots from the toe, so you can grind out that cigarette on the ground really nicely. So that's a nice function. We have the ever so popular toe tap. I can go downwards and upwards, so I can raise it up and tap to the beat, or I can pull it down like you're trying to get up on your tiptoes, or if you just need to have your foot bend down. But we also have a function just for getting on your tiptoes, and it's called the tiptoe function. You'll notice here it brings up the whole foot, and it really does get you on your tiptoes. It raises the heel, the ankle, bends the knee up, all that stuff. So with these new functions added, we have a nice foot that'll do all the things we really need it to. Plus, if we grab our hip, we get our nice crouching motion, and our foot stays planted. It doesn't, bend or shake or do any kind of other kind of crazy stuff for us. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my outliner and delete this example, and let's start building our own IK system. And if you notice on the blog, I have this picture. It's like a cheat sheet. This is from an earlier rig I did to prepare for the lesson. I took a screenshot of the outliner and all the IKs and pivot groups that we'll need. And I also have the foot control highlighted here to show us what kind of controls we need to build out for our foot right there. So I'll be referring to this in the lecture, and you can refer to it too on the blog. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize it. The first thing I'm going to do is build my foot control handle. So I'm going to go to curve, NURBS primitives, and of course make our nice little circle here. So I'm just going to draw it on the foot and maybe shrink it down. I'm not going to try to rotate or anything. I'm just going to leave it facing straight forward like so. Because even if I did freeze these transformations, there we go. I'm just going to leave it facing straight forward. Alright, great. So what we have here is my foot control. And what we got to do is we got to build our custom attributes that we see right here. Knee twist all the way to tiptoe. Those aren't natural for any kind of object in Maya. We have to build them special. So the first thing I'm going to do is freeze my transformations. I got it in place. I'm going to hide my skeleton real quick. Alright, let me get rid of that right there. Yeah. Alright, so I'm going to actually snap this to the ball of my foot and then freeze my transformations. So let's go in and make my custom attributes for my foot. We do that by selecting my foot control handle, and I'm going to go to Modify up here at the top, and add attribute. This brings up our add attribute menu right here. So I'm just going to bring this guy up right here. Maybe I'll shove my in a little bit so I can see what we need over here. Alright, that'll be just enough where I can see what we're going to need. So the first thing is a knee twist. The long name right here is what will actually be displayed in our outliner over here. We want to make sure that the data type is a float. Well, all of these are pretty much going to be floats. And we need to set minimum, maximum, and default values. For our knee twist, we're going to create a -10 value and a +10 maximum. At -10, our knee will be twisted inwards, and at 10, our knee will be twisted outwards. And 0 is going to be our default starting position for our knee. So after we plug in our values, we just hit add, and we can see over here in our channel box that knee twist is added right below our visibility and scale values. So let's just go down the line using my cheat sheet. Next, I have peel heel. I'm just going to run through these. Peel heel. This is that walking motion I was talking about where the heel peels off the ground and the toes are planted. Our minimum is going to be 10 because that's where the foot's going to be flat. Our maximum is going to be 10, and we want to start out at our foot on the flat ground. So if I do 0 as my peel heel, it gets added over there. Next one is twist toe. For toe twist, there's going to be a -10 when our toes twisted inwards, a +10 when our toes twisted outwards, and a default value of 0 for a default pose, when our toes facing forward. The next thing we have is toe tap. And again, -10 for our toes pointing downwards. I think I did +10. -10 for our toes pointing downwards, 10 maximum, and 0 of course is our default toe position. We hit add, and then we're going to do our tiptoe. We're going to tiptoe it. We're going to create just a 0 value because we really can't untiptoeify it. It doesn't make much sense. So our minimum will just be our default pose. Our maximum will be us on the very tips of our toes trying to look over that ledge or that window we can't quite reach. And our default will be 0. Alright, great. So I have all these values set up. And if you'll notice, whenever I middle mouse button click to toe knee twist, it only goes to -10 to 10. I can't go beyond those values at all. Those are the value range I just set up that we saw earlier. So let's go ahead and name our foot control. Let's call it foot left control. And since I already have all the attributes built out for it, I'm just going to go take this time now to duplicate it over so I don't have to make all the attributes again for my right foot. If I duplicate this control handle, all these attributes will follow. And to get it mirrored right across that axis, this for just a second, just reset our transformations. It takes our pivot point right to the center of the grid. So if we just dupe it, we got left foot control 1, but we want to call this foot right control. And to quickly get it over in the right position, let's just go to our scale over here and make it -1. That'll pop it right over. Kind of a shortcut from using duplicate special. So let's grab both of our controls. Let's freeze their transformations one more time. I'm going to hit insert on a Windows, and I think it's home button on a Mac. That gets us into pivot mode where we can set where our control handles pivot from. So I'm going to snap my pivot right to the ball of my foot. And I'm going to take this one, hit insert or home, depending on what computer you're using, and snap that right to the ball of my foot. So now I have both foot controls ready to rock and roll. It's very important because now all the twist controls are on my right foot control, all the twist controls are on my left foot control. So now the hard part kind of comes with building out our IK chain. And it's going to be a little bit different. If we look over on our cheat sheet over here, we see that I have my left leg IK. We also have two more, ball left and toe left IK. And notice I put RP and SC on the bottom ends of these. I'll show us why I'm going to do that right now. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize all that stuff. I'll bring my outliner back so we can minimize it. We're going to be using our outliner a lot to organize our rig chain. So let's go ahead and make our whole leg IK. We've done this with a flour sack, so nothing new here. So I'm going to go to the skeleton, and I'm going to go to my IK handle tool and go to the extra options here. Alright, so I want to go and select IK RP solver and make sure sticky's on. Perfect. Alright, so I'm going to attach my IK handle starting at my hip all the way down at my leg. Alright, I think I need to show my IK handles. I have IK handles hidden, so I'm going to go to show and check IK handles. There we go. Now let's test it out for a second. If you're noticing that our leg is just getting all kinds of weird bent up, yeah, that's what's going to happen unless we don't create more IK chains. But for right now, let's go ahead and call this IK handle leg left IK. And since it's a rotate pivot solver, so we can get a nice nice knee twist, let's call it RP. Okay, because this is a rotate pivot IK handle. And we're going to create two more IK handles now, so let's do it. Let's go to skeleton, IK handle tool. Let's check our extra options box. And let's change our RP solver to a single chain solver, SC. This isn't going to give it any twist. It's just going to create a bare bones basic IK handle. And what we're going to do is we're going to select it from our ankle straight to the ball of my foot. I'm going to go up into our outliner and call this ball left IK SC for single chain. This is an IK solver from our ankle to the ball of our foot. This is what's going to help us get our pill heel going. Alright. And then we're going to go to skeleton again, IK handle tool. It should still be single chain solver. And we're going to go from our ball to our toe. This is going to help us get our toe tap going. Alright, so let's call this toe left IK SC for single chain. So that's toe left inverse kinematic single chain for the whole name. Very important that we name these things because we're going to have a lot of stuff in our outline floating around. We got to be able to tell them apart. Alright, so now we got to go into the outliner and start grouping up these IK handles. Because right now they don't function. They don't do quite that much. Yeah, you can maybe, say, make an argument. Well, I can just animate this chainsaw and I have my toe tap right there. But, what is this ball chain going to do? If I rotate it, it doesn't do anything. So I can't get my pill heel. If I move it, it breaks my foot in half, and it doesn't make much sense. But if we group these intelligently, then we're going to have a lot of functionality out of them. But it's very important that you group it just right. So the first thing that I'm going to do is look for my leg left IK RP. This is my traditional whole leg IK that we've seen with my flour sack. And I'm actually going to group it and make a heel peel group, right, that we see right here. So my left leg IK will be grouped under heel peel. So how do we do that? Well, let's go to our outliner. We're going to be using our outliner a lot, like I've mentioned. And what we got to do is we got to create a group just for this IK handle here. So I'm going to select my left leg IK over here. I'm going to go to Edit, and then go to Group. And this creates a new group called Group 1. Nothing new there. We've seen groups. We worked with groups before. But what we're going to do is we're going to call this heel, because this is the part of the body it's going to affect. We're going to call it left because it's on the left side. And we're going to call it peel because this is the kind of animation or kind of the action that this group is going to help us achieve. And then we're just going to call it GRP because it's a group. Alright, the last important step for this group is to change the pivot point. Right now it's pivoting from the middle of the grid. That's bad. Doesn't really do much. I mean, yeah, our heel peel action is doing good right there, but, that's not very good. So all we got to do is go into change pivot mode. Again, that's insert on a Windows or the home button on a Mac. And you'll know because this little yellow box will come up with these green, red, and blue bars. I'm just going to hold down V on the keyboard and just snap it to the ball of my mesh or my rig right here. Very important that you snap it to the ball. And I'll hit insert or home again. And now when I select my group over here, I get that nice peeling motion that I showed you a second ago. Very nice. Alright, and if I bring back the skeleton, I can already kind of see that motion here. See how the heel's peeling nicely? I mean, if we look at that from the side, it really does look like, we're stepping off of our foot now, putting all of our weight on my toes. Really nice that we went ahead and bound the skeleton to my bones so we can start seeing some actual feedback of some of the stuff we're doing over here. So let's continue to keep this somewhat brief. The next thing I'm going to do is find my ball and toe IK chains and group them under a toe tap group. So over here, here's my ball and toe IKs. I'm going to go to Edit and group them together. And I'm going to call this toe, left side. It's going to be a tapping action, and then group. And you guessed it, we got to change the pivot point of our group here. So go into pivot mode, and then I'm just going to snap it to the ball again. I'm going to snap this to the ball as well. Because what that's going to allow us to do is rotate from my ball, and now I have that nice toe tap action right there. Alright, nice. We're getting there. Alright, so now we have a heel pill and a toe tap. What's next? Well, my heel pill and my toe tap, they branch up together, and now both of them are grouped under a toe pivot group. So what we got to do is we got to select both of these in my outliner, select one and select the other one. For me, I'm just holding down Control on the keyboard to select multiple things in the outliner. We'll go to Edit and group them together. And then, what did I call this again? Cheat sheet to save the day. Toe left pivot group. Okay, so this is where we're going to pivot off my toe. Toe left pivot GRP. Alright, brilliant. So what we're going to do now is we're going to change the pivot point of this group to what we want. It's a toe pivot. So I guess we should change it and snap it to our toe here. Again, getting on our tiptoes, and then we're able to put out our cigarette. So we're getting two functions out of this group. A nice toe twist there to put out that cigarette, and a nice tiptoe action too. Alright, great. And we just have to do one more thing, which is give the whole group a foot pivot. This is what we're going to parent our control handle to, and it's going to give us that nice twisting motion for our whole leg. So I'm going to select just my toe left pivot group, and we're going to create a group just for it. And we're going to call this foot left pivot group. Alright, and what we got to do here is we got to change the pivot of this group once again. We don't want it stuck in the middle of our grid there. That won't make much sense for our rig. So I'm going to bind this pivot point right to the ankle of my... Alright, so after that's bound to the ankle, you should be all set up, and for the rest of the video, we're done for this one. In the next video, what we're going to do is we're going to go in and actually set up some set-driven keys so we can get our controls from our control handle here for my leg. You know, these the knee pivots right here, knee, twist, pill, toe tap, all that stuff, and we're going to bind them to our groups that we just made. So when we change the value for just one of those, it's going to affect the whole leg, and we'll be able to animate just on one control handle. So let's stop back in, and we're going to learn all about set-driven keys next lesson.